Hello and welcome. I'm 12-inch Richard, here with another program of inane ramblings, profuse quirks, and information I'm certain no one wants to know about but me. In hopefully what will be the last episode I ever do on this person, until she assuages all of our fears and lets the world know where she received her doctorate from, I'm going to treat you to a mass of information, or perhaps more mass of information, might be more applicable, on Dr. Ann Louise Allen. Before I get started though, I want to tell you a bit about my professional background. I'm a board-certified PhD in bioreticular confabulation. I hold dual MD degrees in which I specialize in gastrointestinal phthisis and esophageal eruptation. I have 4 Masters of Science degrees in ecostratification, bovine dregs, biomolecular expectorate, and advanced synthetic vomitus. I have served on several medical and scientific boards, including but not limited to the Centers for Disease Control and Anomalies, the Food and Drug Administration of Zimbabwe, Rodentary Cancer Screening Systems of Tallahassee, the Board of Consumer Safety for Sugar Consumption, Chocolate, and Chocolate Advisory Staff, Florida State of Compensatory Regulation for Necrophiliacs, and the United Nations Board on Safety and Regulation for Non-Indigenous Peoples of the Western Hemisphere Transplantation Project of 1988. Further, I hold the following patents for edible hard drives, low-sugar rocks, soft cement for kids, oxymoronic allegories, nano and picosubstrate of candy, and approximately 70 other patents. Further, I was awarded the first ever worldwide patent on the combination of low glycemic breathable oxygen, and I can trace my heritage back to Duke Ellington, and I'm known by those in my profession as the Big Dog. Of course, unlike Dr. Allen, all of my degrees, educational background, and patents can be easily verified by simply calling any of the schools I've listed and asking about me, 12-inch Richard. Wait. I'm sorry, I'm just like Dr. Allen in that practically nothing I've said can be verified. Oh well, as Mrs. Clinton said when confronted about the deaths of 4 Americans in Benghazi, what difference at this point does it make? Okay, on to the meat and potatoes of my rant. As some of you know, I've been attempting to piece together the educational background of one Ann Louise Allen, who prefaces her name with the initials Dr. standing for doctor. I began my search by visiting Mrs. Allen's website and was somewhat perplexed by the fact that you can find loads of information concerning her historical background, that is, her genealogy, which dates back to King John I of England. You know, the guy Robin Hood is always giving a hard time to in the stories and the movies, and who is known for his pettiness, spitefulness, and cruelty, and for losing Normandy to some French guy. I mean, seriously, if I were going to proudly display my lineage back to someone, it sure would not be someone like a dude who had it bad for Maid Marian, but could never close the deal. Besides, it's not like anyone who runs a business is really going to care about her genetic pedigree. But, back to my point, you cannot find one shred of educational background on the lady. Perhaps it's an oversight. For now, I'll assume that it is. To be completely upfront, I'd like to tell you that I don't know the good doctor, nor am I a doctor of any type. I don't hold a PhD, an MD, or even a master's degree. But I also will not fill you with a lot of BS either. What I do have is an inquisitive mind and a penchant for research and a fair amount of logic. With that being said, I'll begin. Not to be catty, but throughout this monologue, I'll be referring to good old Doc Allen as Mrs. Allen or something other, Mrs. Allen, Mrs. Ann Louise Allen, etc., because I haven't been able to verify that she actually holds a doctorate, though I'm certain she does. But, for the sake of propriety, I'll go ahead and stick with Mrs. for now. Mrs. Allen claims to be a board-certified doctor of naturopathy, or for those who like initials, an ND. While I know several NDs, PhDs, MDs, DCs, ODs, etc. ad nauseum, I've always been able to find out where they obtained their degree from. Unfortunately, it is not easy to find the higher education institution that awarded Mrs. Allen her advanced degree, mainly because she does not list it. Now, I want to state up front that I have no doubt that Mrs. Allen does have a doctorate. I don't think anyone, especially me, would accuse her of actually lying about such a thing. However, lest the fact that I or anyone else I've actually talked to or read what they've written cannot find out where this lady got her education should start to freak out, I suggest we all calm down and rest in the fact that her own website states that she is known in the industry as the Alpha Scientist. You know, the term Alpha Scientist sounds pretty impressive until you ask the following 2 questions. 1, what industry and who in the industry calls her the Alpha Scientist? And 2, who was the Alpha Scientist before Mrs. Allen came around and took the title away from them? Actually, I guess it's 3 questions. If you do a simple internet search on the term Alpha Scientist, do you know what you'll find besides a link or 2 that eventually takes you back to Mrs. Allen? Nothing, except for a statement I'll go over in just a bit. Anyway, while patiently waiting for Mrs. Ann-Louise Allen to reveal to all of us who really want to know what school she obtained her degree in naturopathy in, and which certification process or organization she obtained her board certification in naturopathy from, I took a few hours, asked a few questions of a few organizations, schools, and states in an attempt to root out this mystery, all by my lonesome, just so I wouldn't have to bug Mrs. Allen with questions to the answers we are seeking. There is zero doubt in my mind that Mrs. Allen is indeed a board-certified naturopath, or that she does indeed hold a doctorate in naturopathy. Still, as a person who has more time on his hands than common sense, I found it entertaining to scour through some of the claims made by Mrs. Allen in an attempt to verify them without any help from her. So, without further ado, here's what I found, or didn't find as the case may be. As of February 26, 2014, I've contacted the following states and provinces to determine if Mrs. Allen is either licensed to practice naturopathy or is registered with them. The answer to my inquiry has been no. The states I contacted are all states in which naturopaths either can, have in the past, or will possibly in the foreseeable future be able to practice their craft. These states include Arizona, California, Florida, Hawaii, Kansas, Minnesota, Montana, New Hampshire, Oregon, Utah, Vermont, Washington, Maine, Idaho, North Dakota, Alaska, Colorado, and Connecticut. Again, since I had a bit more time on my hands than a broken watch, I thought, what the hell, I'll check out of the country. Of course, this is simply because I had time to check, not because I think there's even a remote possibility that Mrs. Allen is certified or licensed outside the United States, or that, if she is, that it's not from an accredited institution. In any case, all of the institutions I checked with said the same thing as their U.S. counterparts. No Ann-Louise Allen listed with them. I checked with Alberta, Canada, Manitoba, Canada, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and Saskatchewan, Canada. So with the states and a different country being dealt with, and still finding myself nearly bored to tears, I tried to think of somewhere else I might be able to ferret around in to see if I could come up with where Mrs. Allen is registered or licensed. Then it hit me. Of course! I contacted the following organizations to determine whether or not Mrs. Allen is a registered or licensed ND with them. Those I contacted were the Florida Association of Naturopathic Physicians, the Federation of Naturopathic Medicine Regulatory Authorities, the Alaska Department of Community and Economic Development, the North Dakota Association of Naturopathic Doctors, the Colorado Association of Naturopathic Doctors, the Idaho Association of Naturopathic Physicians, the Association of Accredited Naturopathic Medical Colleges, the Association of Naturopathic Physicians, the American Naturopathic Medical Certification Board, the College of Naturopathic Physicians of British Columbia, and the Osteopathic Medical Board of California. Again, I got the same answers the others gave me. No. At this point, I was beginning to think of myself as the worst flatfoot, gumshoe, or lay detective in the world. I know that Mrs. Allen holds a doctorate from somewhere. Maybe, just maybe, if I contacted all the known accredited schools of naturopathy. That would be the key. I was certain of it. So, with all the energy of a puppy with a new chew toy, I contacted the following accredited schools of naturopathy with two simple questions. Did Mrs. Allen attend or graduate from their school? Pretty simple and straightforward. At least I thought it was. Anyway, I contacted Bastyr University, the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine, the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine, and the National College of Natural Medicine. Guess what? I couldn't believe it either. After contacting all of these schools and spending more time than a sane man should in trying to find out such a simple question, I had an answer to my question, and the answer was, are you ready? Are you certain that you're ready? Well, okay, without all the build-up, all I got from these schools was the same two-letter answer I got from the other organizations, states, provinces, and countries. An N followed by a goose egg. You guessed it, no. But I did find a ray of hope when I contacted the following schools: the University of Bridgeport College of Naturopathic Medicine in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the Boucher Institute of Naturopathic Medicine in New Westminster, British Columbia, and the National University of Health Sciences in Lombard, Illinois. I didn't get a no. Yay! Instead, I was told that without a waiver from Miss Allen, if she did attend one of these schools, they wouldn't be able to tell me whether or not she graduated from them. Of course, the fact that none of the states or accredited schools I contacted were able to confirm that Mrs. Allen is or has been a licensed or registered practitioner could simply mean that they are mistaken. We all know how those pesky transcripts can get lost or held up. Just ask President Obama. Wow, wouldn't you hate to be that guy? The guy who holds the most powerful position in the entire United States of America, and even he cannot get his school records released? I mean, if President Obama cannot get his school transcripts released, what possible chance is there that Mrs. Allen might be able to get hers released? But just in case Mrs. Allen wants people to be able to contact the schools I just mentioned and find out about her credentials, here's their contact information that she can write to and sign a waiver as outlined in both the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act and the Personal Information Protection Act. The addresses, as well as the phone numbers for the schools I just mentioned, should be appearing on your screen. So, now that each school's contact information has been made abundantly clear, perhaps Mrs. Allen wouldn't mind applying a general waiver so anyone who wants to can at least verify she went to and was awarded a doctorate from one of these schools. I completely understand that as a lone individual, my ability to check out the credibility of anyone who supplies such little verifiable information on themselves is hampered by the same lack of information. But that's what makes this so much fun. It's like an internet game of Easter egg hunting. So, if Mrs. Allen would be so kind as to publicly state where it is that she acquired her education and in what year she obtained her doctorate in naturopathy, I'm certain all of this speculation can be completely answered. If she attended and graduated from one of the 3 universities who require a release form from her, I'm certain she'd be willing to sign said form because I'm just as certain she has nothing to hide. Besides, I seriously doubt that the 2 doctors with whom she serves would work with a person they had not personally verified the credentials of. It's probably just an oversight that of the 10 executive team members of Brescia International, only Mrs. Allen's bio does not contain her educational background. Surely that must be it. An oversight, right? Okay, so after trying my best to figure out all by myself where Mrs. Allen graduated from, I turned my attention to contacting various agencies, organizations, and schools in an attempt to verify Mrs. Allen's claims of patents and trademarks and her general expertise in the fields for which she states categorically to hold positions that would require higher education to effectively direct. These are the responses I got from them. I've got to tell you, if I were Mrs. Allen, I don't know if I'd ever work with any organization like the ones I received answers from, because if they don't keep even decent records of such a stellar scientist as Mrs. Allen, who in the world would? Am I right or am I right? From the National Library of Medicine, quote, in response to your request, looking for publications from either Dr. Louise Allen, ND, or the Glycemic Research Institute, for which she is the Chief of Biomedical Research on the Glycemic Index or the glycemic impact of foods on people, you have contacted the U.S. National Library of Medicine. I have searched our databases, including PubMed.gov, a database of over 22 million citations to biomedical journal articles for her name in various forms of Deweese, Louise Allen, and Allen with her other names, and for the Glycemic Research Institute in the text or affiliation field of articles, and find nothing published and indexed by the author in our biomedical literature. I also did a quick search of non-National Library of Medicine databases like CAB Abstracts for nutritional journals and Scopus, which covers a wide variety of subject areas, and found nothing. I would suggest contacting the author from her site for a bibliography of her scientific, biomedical, or nutritional articles that have been published. I hope this will be helpful. R. Gordner, Reference and Customer Service, National Library of Medicine. To Discover Magazine, I had written, Hi, I'm attempting to verify a statement made by Dr. Louise Allen on her site, AnneLouiseAllen.com, under the section Future Science. Specifically, the claim reads that her statement on quaternary saturated amines prompted a correction by Discover. I'm not certain when this correction might have been made, but I'm hoping that you can help me determine whether or not this is true. The answer I received from Discover Magazine, quote, I can tell you that it's not a correction that's been made within the last year, and her name doesn't turn up in a search of our archives. With a little more context, I might be able to track it down, but I'd need to know a bit more, at least the year when the correction was made, or the original article she corrected, or the issue the correction or original article ran in, or the author of the original article, etc. I noticed the lack of specific references, which makes it frustratingly hard to validate her claims. Her name doesn't come up in a search of PDFs of our magazine back issues, nor does quaternary, saturated, amines, or any combination of those terms. and unfortunately, short of looking at every single mail page printed in the mag, there's just no real way to find the correction otherwise. Again, if you are able to get any more information from anywhere else, I'm happy to look more in-depth for you." End quote. That is from Eliza, the editorial staff of Discover Magazine. So, Mrs. Allen, please, would you mind simply notating the exact date and issue the correction was made in Discover Magazine so all of us with inquiring minds can find out? To the Department of Nutritional Sciences, I wrote, "Dr. Jenkins, I'm attempting to verify the validity of the claims of Dr. Ann Louise Allen, an MD living in Florida. She claims to have received the first patent granted worldwide on the glycemic index. As the developer of the concept of the glycemic index, do you know if this claim is true, and if so, where I might be able to find peer-reviewed research for her work? I've searched Medline Plus, and while I've found references to your work, I can find nothing on Dr. Allen. Thanks." The answer I received from Dr. Kendall, the head of the Department of Nutritional Sciences for Dr. Jenkins, quote, "I have never heard of this doctor, nor am I aware of a worldwide patent on GI or glycemic index." End quote. That was from Cyril W.C. Kendall, Ph.D., the Department of Nutritional Sciences, Faculty of Medicine, University of Toronto, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. To the University of Florida Human Resource Services, I wrote, "I'm attempting to verify that Dr. Ann Louise Allen, ND, Doctor of Naturopathy, owns a human testing facility in the University of Florida. It may be for the indexing of the glycemic values of foods, and it might have been prior to 2008 that she owns said testing facility. If you're not able to verify this, and you happen to know to whom I should address my question, I would greatly appreciate it if you would forward said information to me." Answer, quote, "Thank you for your inquiry. This person is not affiliated with the University of Florida." End quote. That is from the University of Florida Human Resource Services. To the National Institutes of Health, I wrote, "I'm wondering if the Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Ann Louise Allen, works with the National Institutes of Health, or she works as a senior research scientist for the Washington, D.C.-based Cancer Helpline, a national cancer program providing up-to-date research for the National Institute of Health. Thanks very much for your time." The answer I received, quote, "Dr. Ann Louise Allen is not listed as an NIH employee. We are not certain of her whereabouts. Please let us know if we can assist further." End quote. That is from the National Institutes of Health. As a follow-up, I wrote, "Thanks so much. Can you tell me if she had ever worked with the NIH by providing information to you through the Cancer Helpline, or if you know of the Cancer Helpline of which she speaks?" The answer I received, quote, "I'm sorry, we have no information on this person." End quote. Again, that answer came from the National Institutes of Health. To the Department of Molecular and Cellular Biology, a UCLA research department that is a leader in peer-reviewed articles and research for the treatment of sickle cell disease and thalassemia, I wrote, "I was wondering if you had ever heard of Dr. Ann Louise Allen. The reason I ask is because she states that she has found a key code for treating sickle cell disease and thalassemia at encoderesearch.com and implies the same at annlouiseallen.com. I am simply trying to ascertain whether or not Dr. Allen has indeed been a part of this type of research, nutritional genomics, and where I can find articles she has contributed to. Thanks for any help you can give me." The answer I received, quote, "I am unfamiliar with Dr. Ann Louise Allen or her work." End quote. That is from Raymond Rodriguez, the professor and director of the Department of Molecular and Cellular Biology, the Global Health Share Initiative at the University of California, Davis. Oh my goodness, the poor lady. I can't believe the apparent ineptitude of her fellow scientists and heads of departments. I mean, come on, people. For a professor and director of the Department of Molecular and Cellular Biology that deals with treating sickle cell disease and thalassemia to state categorically that he's unfamiliar with Mrs. Allen, who is known in the industry by her own admission as the alpha scientist. I mean, if I were her, I would take this as a personal slap to my credibility. But that's just me. I'm certain that someone of her professional stature brushes this type of misinformation off as no more than just a minor irritation, kind of like a mosquito on an elephant's ass. In fact, I'm just as certain that all of these people are mistaken, and they probably do have Mrs. Allen's work documented somewhere. They have probably just mistakenly overlooked it. Again, to be completely fair and open and honest, what I'm presenting has not been independently verified by anyone else besides me, as far as I know. However, to the best of my knowledge, what I am presenting to you concerning Mrs. Ann Louise Allen is true. And once again, since I've not been able to find anyone on the corporate level, or anyone she has ever worked with, or from her own company, or from her personally, to verify her education, I took it upon myself to investigate as thoroughly as I could within the limitations of the internet the claims that she makes. If, at any time in the future, the claims I question are shown to be true, I'll happily take down this video or update it. Now, hear me out. I am not saying that Mrs. Allen is lying about anything she claims. It could be that everything she has said about her background is true and is verifiable. I, for one, hope that it is, because I would hate to think anyone would willingly trick potentially thousands of people by making claims that are not true. But, in the words of Hillary Clinton, what difference, at this point, does it make? With that being said, here are some of the claims made by Andoise Allen on various websites, as well as through other mediums such as blogs, etc. A claim that she makes from AndoiseAllen.com. She is, quote, known in the industry as the alpha scientist, end quote. I asked this question towards the beginning, but who is it that has called her the alpha scientist? The only reference I can find that equates the title of alpha scientist with Mrs. Allen is found on Wiki Answers and put there by Jeff Acklin under the pseudonym C. Hainsaw or Chainsaw, and reads, quote, I am a physician, double board certified in emergency and integrative medicine. The only place I have ever heard the use of the phrase alpha scientist is in regards to Andoise Allen. The term alpha scientist sounds quite impressive, but it appears to be a designation reserved just for this gal. With a huge list of apparent accomplishments, she has no published articles in any peer-reviewed scientific or medical journal. Surely, an alpha scientist would be one of those individuals whose public scientific work would be found somewhere credible, end quote. The answer to the Wiki Answers that I got this from should be appearing on your screen. A claim she makes at AndoiseAllen.com. She is, quote, in the forefront of scientific breakthroughs, including edible computer chips, end quote. One might wonder what an edible computer chip is. The answer from the site ediblecomputerchips.com is, quote, the phrase edible computer chip was coined by research scientist Dr. Andoise Allen as she sought to clarify and explain how the human brain responds to stimulus such as food and beverages, end quote. And from her own pen or keyboard, quote, every food, drink, nutraceutical, pharmaceutical, vitamin, and mineral ingested by humans is a computer chip. If it enters the mouth, it is an edible computer chip. A banana is an edible computer chip, and so is a hamburger, or a soda, or any other food or beverage, end quote. This quote is from ediblecomputerchips.com. So, an edible computer chip is simply, you guessed it, food. So, my question is, what scientific breakthroughs has Ms. Allen come up with as it concerns food? Has she actually created a new type of food, or is she referring to the glycemic index she has used for years? If this is the case, why doesn't she just say that she's on the forefront of glycemic indexing? The question becomes more complex because she lists herself as being the Chief Science Officer over edible computer chips. Isn't this, based on her own words, the same thing as saying that she is the Chief Science Officer over food? As an aside, I would really like to see Mrs. Allen list the companies for which she holds these positions. Are they all titles or subtitles she has with the Glycemic Research Institute? And as far as the Glycemic Research Institute is concerned, why are there no other employees listed on their site other than Mrs. Allen and Mrs. Allen's daughter, Octavia Ormsby? And I don't even think Mrs. Ormsby is actually listed on the site. It took me some digging to confirm that she was the president of GRI. Certainly, such a prestigious organization would have other scientists working with them, wouldn't they? An example of what may simply be an oversight on the part of the company is this. Mrs. Allen is listed as the only person who sits on both ENCODE Research's advisory board and their science team. Please, pardon my ignorance, but I thought that a team and a board were both composed of more than one individual. Maybe I'm wrong, or again, maybe this is simply an oversight on the part of the company. I think the whole glycemic index thing needs to be addressed by her as well. The same website I just mentioned states that Mrs. Allen was awarded with the, quote, first glycemic patent ever awarded worldwide, end quote. As I noted before, On February the 20th, 2014, the Office of the Developer of the Concept of the Glycemic Index, Dr. David J. A. Jenkins, MD, PhD, and Doctor of Science, circa 1981, was contacted and asked if the claim of Mrs. Allen receiving the first glycemic patent ever awarded worldwide was valid. The question was answered by Dr. Cyril W. C. Kendall, Ph.D., of the Department of Nutritional Sciences, Faculty of Medicine from the University of Toronto in Ontario, Canada. Again, he stated, quote, "I have never heard of this doctor, nor am I aware of a worldwide patent on GI, or glycemic index." End quote. The abstract for Dr. Jenkins' work on the glycemic index can be found at the address appearing on your screen. Also interestingly, not a single entry for the work of either Andrews Allen or the glycemic index was found by the search engine at the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Of course, this simply could be because neither of the aforementioned parties have ever submitted an article to the journal for review. Again, what difference at this point does it make, right? We are all certain, at least I am, that Mrs. Allen does indeed hold the first glycemic patent ever awarded worldwide, and that Dr. Jenkins and his entire staff is simply unaware of this fact. In my search of digital archives, a question began plaguing me concerning agave nectar. Has something changed about agave nectar? The reason I ask is because Mrs. Allen is quoted as telling the Wall Street Journal on October 23, 2009 that diabetics who consumed agave nectar experienced, quote, severe and dangerous side effects, end quote, and that, quote, the diabetics passed out on the floor and had to be taken to the hospital, end quote. This is in an article titled, "Agave Syrup May Not Be So Simple," written by Laura Johans. However, 4 years prior, on August 17, 2005, the Glycemic Research Institute, of which Mrs. Allen is the Chief of Biomedical Research, is noted in a press release as confirming agave's low glycemic profile. The press release can be found at the address on your screen. Subsequently, the GRI allows blueagavenectar.com to display their low glycemic certification sticker. Of course, Mrs. Allen did not tell the Wall Street Journal how many people were included in the study, or how much or what type of agave nectar the diabetics consumed, so it is within the realm of reason that the blue agave nectar is somehow different than the agave nectar tested. A claim she made on AndoiseAllen.com. On her site, she states that she was the first scientist to ever speak at the United Nations General Assembly about L-arginine and sickle cell anemia. She even lists the times she was to have spoken. My question is this: why isn't she listed as a speaker in the official documents for the First World Sickle Cell Day, hosted by the United Nations? And why is she not listed as a presenter at the 2010 Norwegian Sickle Cell Anemia Organization? Again, I'm pretty certain that this is simply an oversight on the part of the United Nations. Everyone knows how worn out these people are, and how little time is actually spent verifying that speakers are referenced correctly. Still, if I were Mrs. Allen, I'd want to get this corrected pronto, especially since it's been over 3 years that they've put out the wrong information. Oh, and by the way, I want to tell you that if you suddenly can't find mention of this research anywhere on the internet, it's because I've been sued out of existence. In other words, I may be committing financial suicide since Mrs. Allen has, at her beck and call, a law firm that seems to sue any and everyone she deems appropriate to do so. The lady has even trademarked her own name so that it cannot be used by anyone, anywhere, without her express written permission when it comes to the promotion of nutritional supplements. I've got to say, that's a shrewd way of protecting a name, so long as it's being used to promote a product of some type. Fortunately for me, I'm not involved in any business that would directly affect Mrs. Allen's name, nor would I ever consider demeaning her in any way. I've heard lots and lots and lots of people say that she is very nice, very personable, and very smart. But no one knows where she got her education from, which is what I'm trying to get to the bottom of now. To continue, Mrs. Allen must be among the top 0.5% in the human populace as it concerns intelligence, because among her many accolades, it is inferred that she is a genetic engineer because she, quote, was able to genetically engineer a low glycemic delivery system for L-arginine specifically designed for the African American community, end quote. While this is certainly possible, allow me to explain what it takes to become a genetic engineer. A 10-year plus 2-year plus 3-year educational pattern is normally mandated for anyone seeking a degree in genetic engineering. The first 10 years refers to the number of years one spends in both elementary and secondary education. In other words, it requires you to have passed high school. No big feat here. The following 2 years refers to one obtaining the equivalent of an associate's degree, usually highlighting both math and biology. Again, no huge feat. However, it's the last 3 years that presents an issue in my mind because these years should not only include math and biology, but also 2 genetics courses and 3 calculus courses that include integral and differential calculus before a person is accepted into a genetic engineering course. Preferably, a person who seeks to become a genetic engineer has to have as part of their undergraduate degree high marks in both molecular biology and molecular genetics. Then you need to achieve a PhD, which requires several years of original research under the guidance of a supervisor and practical experience in recombinant DNA techniques. The reason I state that Mrs. Allen would have to be in the top 0.5% of all intelligent people is because she lists on her website that she has over 30 years of experience in medical clinical research, though she does not list anywhere on her website where this experience was gained, and that she's been the director or chief researcher or science officer for the following: nanoparticle science as it relates to the blood-brain barrier, orthomolecular science, and nutritional genomics. Listing that she is or was the director of nanoparticle science, even though the company or university where she held this title is listed nowhere, would, I assume, lead the reader, you and me, to believe that she had experience in chemistry, physics, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, electrical and computer engineering, and or material science, which are the listed requirements for a graduate minor in nanoparticle science and engineering from the University of Minnesota, and similar qualifications for other major universities. However, I should state that not everyone who holds positions of high authority has qualifications in their respective fields. For example, Barack Obama and the majority of those in the House as well as Senate who passed the Affordable Health Care and Protection Act are not qualified to speak authoritatively on the subject of health care. So, it could be that Mrs. Allen is simply a very bright manager who was promoted to lead a team of qualified scientists because of her people skills. Still, it would be great to know which company or university she worked with on nanoparticle science. The same set of questions arise about her qualifications in both orthomolecular science and nutritional genomics, including which companies or schools she worked with on these 2 disciplines and whether she concentrated on either nutrigenomics or nutrigenetics. As for Berecia International and their clinical data references and bibliography, one must wonder why neither the research from Mrs. Allen or the Glycemic Research Institute is mentioned. In other words, one might assume that, given Mrs. Allen's impressive list of credentials and research, as well as those of the Glycemic Research Institute, at least some of the research that went into Berecia's products would have come from them. That this might be expected should come as no surprise, as Mrs. Allen supposedly holds patents in everything from thermogenic coffee, tea, water, cola, soda, a sports drink, lemonade, a chocolate drink, hot chocolate, green tea, and even human thermogenesis. With all the scientific achievements Mrs. Allen has to her name, especially with the thermogenic cola and soda, which according to everyone I've ever talked to is the exact same thing, I expected to see her research trumpeted far and wide, but unfortunately, it's not to be found anywhere on Berecia's site. As for the Glycemic Research Institute itself, it is a privately held corporation, which means that virtually no information is obtainable via general public inquiry, and it is not Better Business Bureau accredited, which might mean nothing more than a company that has, quote, over 30 years of glycemic expertise, end quote, has never bothered to register with the Better Business Bureau, or it might mean that the owner or owners of the institute don't want prying eyes into who actually founded the business. As for me, it sure does look like the Glycemic Research Institute and Mrs. Allen's own website under her own name was designed by the same company. This thought is compounded by the fact that a quick check of the Who Is listing shows that someone by the name of Dr. Allen is the administrator for both her website and that of the Glycemic Research Institute, and that the Nutrilab Corporation, whose website address is NutriLabUSA.com, all have the exact same name server listed for Guys from Tampa as of December 1st, 2013. Now, none of this is suspicious in and of itself. However, if one looks at the Who Is listing with even a passing glance of interest, you'll find 10 entries associated with Mrs. Allen's name. Whoever the 4 guys from Tampa are that run the name server by the same name are definitely kept busy by Mrs. Allen, because the websites I personally visited associated with her seem to be cookie-cutter sites. Throughout Mrs. Allen's website, of which she is at the very least the administrator and therefore should know what goes into them, it is claimed that she holds patents for multiple and various products and has authored research papers. All of that sounds great, but it begs the questions: 1. Where are the patent numbers so we, the consumer, can find out what the patents are for? And 2. Who peer-reviewed her papers? I can find zero, nada, zilch, ola information on practically any of this. Using the free patents online search engine and utilizing the expert search with the advanced functions option that restricted my search to Allen, and Deweese, I turned up a total of 9 patents by Mrs. Allen. The patents I found are listed along with the corresponding URL on your screen. That's right, all I found was 9 patents for 9 different products. For a lady whose patents are supposed to span over 3 decades, it's interesting to me that all of the ones I was able to find were patented in a 20-year time frame, from 1993 to 2012. And for the life of me, I cannot find anywhere the worldwide patent for a low glycemic index. One would think that would be huge information, especially to Dr. Jenkins, who pioneered the glycemic index. Once again, I find myself feeling disturbed for Mrs. Allen because some of her most impressive accomplishments simply haven't been given enough, at least in my opinion, coverage. I mean, the lady should sincerely be plastered all over every nutritional magazine in the world with all of her talents. Now, to be fair, her claim to have been nominated for a Nobel Prize is a completely safe claim since, according to the Norwegian Nobel Committee and the official website of the Nobel Prize, quote, the names of the nominees and other information about the nominations cannot be revealed until 50 years later, end quote. In other words, I could claim to have been nominated for a Nobel Prize and I'd be safe from prying eyes for the next 50 years. In fact, I was nominated for the Nobel Prize and will be nominated for the Nobel Prize for the next 5 years straight. If you don't believe I'm telling the truth about this, ask me and see if I'm not. Ha! Of course I'm just joking. Again, this could be sheer coincidence, but as it's been said, if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, well, you get the picture. The Nobel Prize Committee is a duck, and they need to quit ducking their responsibilities and go ahead and assure everyone that Mrs. Allen was indeed a Nobel Prize nominee, just like they assured us that President Obama won the prize not because of anything he had already done, but for all the things they were certain he was going to do. Okay, on to her professional affiliation with the Glycemic Research Institute. The GRI bills itself as, quote, a professional clinical research organization specializing in glycemic index testing with over 30-plus years of glycemic expertise, end quote. As one might imagine, there are several labs around the world that test GI values by following the standard international testing protocol, including, but not limited to, the following labs: the University of Sydney's Glycemic Index Research Service, Leatherhead Food Research, Oxford Brookes University, and Hammersmith Food Research. The great thing about these research groups is that, unlike the Glycemic Research Institute, they list their researchers by name and give their educational backgrounds. Unlike what I assume is simply an oversight on the part of the management of the GRI, the following people and their educations are available from the aforementioned research groups that should be popping up on your screen right now. I'll end the list now, even though I could go on and list other members, all with advanced degrees from accredited and well-known schools, but not before I note that the researchers I've just listed have a host of peer-reviewed articles, many of which are hyperlinked to the appropriate organizations, and all of which can be found by simply scanning through organizations such as Medline, JAMA, and many of the peer review sites available on the internet. Again, I have to wonder, why is it I cannot find any educational background on Mrs. Allen, since all the other food research groups seem to have this type of information on their researchers prominently displayed? It must be because of my lack of scrutiny. That's the only reason I can think of. So, there you have it. The list of accomplishments and educational background checks I've been able to verify for Mrs. Ann Deweese Allen. I know what you're thinking. 12-inch Richard, you really haven't uncovered much about Mrs. Allen. I mean, we really don't know much more about her than we did when you first started this monologue. For this, I do apologize. I am so incredibly sorry that my detective skills simply aren't up to par. I know. I should have been able to contact Mrs. Allen or her office directly and been able to verify her educational background, find the patent numbers, etc., but unfortunately, Mrs. Allen was obviously too busy to respond to said inquiries. So, if you or she have any information you'd care to share with those who listen to me, please let me know. Until next time, This is 12-inch Richard asking you to tune in next time for more inane prattling, off-the-wall subjects, comments too pure for the average listener to hear, and information probably only I am interested in.